Welcome to Goobertown Hobbies. My name is Brent. Today, I am painting up some outstanding 3D printed Lizardfolk. I've been interested in the idea of 3D printed minis for a long time, but it never seemed like the technology was quite there yet. Every time that I checked out a 3D printed mini, the details would be weak and I'd be able to see those pesky layer lines. That being said, I have Lizardfolk right here in front of me that look amazing. Sharp detail, no layer lines. Apparently, home printing technology matured while I wasn't paying attention. I guess we're living in the future now, and I am very excited to paint these. So let's get going here. These are Lizardfolk for D&D, so they're printed on 25mm bases. I'm more interested in painting and displaying them than using them in a game, so I put them on some larger bases. I want to do a lot of experimenting with paint schemes, but I'm going to give them a generally coastal or aquatic theme. I can use the height of the original base to build up a little riverbank. I'm using Vallejo dark earth texture for the riverbank, and I'm setting some stone and rounded pebbles around there that generally match the texture on the original bases. I have jars of different size sand and pebbles for when the need arises. When I go to the beach, I like to bring my Tupperware. I have 5 of these minis. I figured that I'd experiment with a bunch of different colors and styles for painting their scales, and I'd pick my favorite one to paint up nicely for this video. To me, the scales on these models are a striking feature. It's such a fun texture that probably takes washes or dry brushing really well. This awesome texture was my main consideration as I was slapping on some paint. The airbrush is a great way to put down paint fast. I primed 3 of these black with Vallejo airbrush primer, and then I gave them a zenithal highlight with white ink. I primed the 4th one with the steel color from the Stynylrez line. Washes over metallic might be a cool way to paint these. I primed the 5th model with dull pink from the Stynylrez line. Then I gave it a zenithal highlight with white. This is an idea that came from the Goobertown comments section as a way to paint yellow actually. For the yellow, I'm using an FW Artist ink directly through the airbrush. Leaving a bit of pink in the shadows gives a really fun, warm effect. I don't really understand the color theory on this one yet, but it's pretty incredible. If anyone knows why this pink-yellow combination works so well, let us know in the comments. I've got some other projects that I really want to use this yellow recipe for. I also intend to experiment with using some more strange color choices for undercoat colors, but I figured now was a good time to work this in and get a little more practice. On the black and white zenithal primed minis, I hit one of them with a red ink and one of them with a turquoise ink. So I didn't print these minis myself, I don't have a printer, but they didn't come from a big company with some industrial printer either. These were printed using a Photon home resin printer. I fully admit that I haven't exactly had my finger on the pulse of the 3D printing world, so maybe this technology has been around for a while, but I'm blown away by these. Now that I'm putting paint on, I can see that the detail and texture is as good as I was hoping that it was. I took most of these minis and hit them with a coat of gloss varnish from the airbrush. I plan on using a lot of washes to test out that scale texture, and I want the washes to slide around nicely. And I also don't want the washes to disturb the underlying colors. So where did I get these minis? Danny from 3D Printed Tabletop sent them to me. I've been meeting a ton of cool people on this little YouTube adventure, and one person that I'm becoming friends with is Danny from the YouTube channel 3D Printed Tabletop. His channel is all about printing minis and terrain for gaming. He's built a great community of folks who are passionate about this stuff, and they've gotten pretty good at getting these minis to turn out well. I took the silver primed mini and hit it with some Nuln Oil. I want to see what kind of definition I can get. I figure after this step, I'll hit it with several colored washes. Maybe do a color transition from his dorsal side to his ventral side, like a trout or something like that. In the end, I decided that I don't really like this Stynylrez metallic base coat that I laid down. So I decided to set this mini aside for now and focus on some of the others. Next up, I pulled out my little handful of contrast paints and tried them out on a glossy lizard person with a zenithal prime. A few folks wanted me to use contrast paint over a zenithal prime, and these scales do seem like the perfect opportunity. Anyway, Not only does Danny run the YouTube channel and Facebook group 3D Printed Tabletop, he also commissions artists to design minis specifically for the way he likes to print, paint, and game. He's put 2 Kickstarters together now. These are a combination of 3D printing files and D&D campaigns that use those minis. His first Kickstarter was a big success. Fully funded, delivered on time, with a whole pile of stretch goals met. These minis that I'm painting today are actually stretch goals from Danny's second Kickstarter. Danny test prints all of these designs on a variety of printers and settings to make sure that they actually print, and I've got some of those test models. Moving on, I started putting washes on the other Lizardfolk as well. In these shots, I'm experimenting with different color tones from Army Painter. So, Danny and I were chatting about our upcoming projects, and he showed me some pictures of these Lizardfolks that he had commissioned from the Designer Artisan Guild. I saw these minis, I got extremely excited, and I knew that I had to paint them. I convinced Danny to send me a few. Even though I don't have a printer, I think these minis are wicked cool. Like I said, these are the first 3D printed minis I've ever seen that I thought were worth my time to try to paint. Now that I'm seeing these, I'd really like to learn more about this hobby. I'm sub-novice at 3D printing, so if anyone has questions about the equipment or settings used to print UV resin minis like these, head on over to 3D Printed Tabletop. Anyway, I'm happy to be painting up my first 3D printed minis. Honestly, I haven't noticed any difference painting these from plastic, resin, or metal minis made from more traditional casting techniques. I figured this would be a fun video on getting these painted, and I'm happy to generate a bit more interest for the 3D printing community. So here we are. I've slapped some paint on these 5 minis. The blue on some of their bases is just me thinking about how I want to represent an aquatic setting. As I was thinking about that, I also started to play with ideas on my trusty Dark Eldar test models. These very models actually appeared in my contrast paint video. I got a ton of use out of these busted up test models. Anyway, I decided that these deep blues probably weren't appropriate for shallow waters, so I decided that a sand color might be better and allow me to do more of a tide pool theme. It was my intention to get to this stage on 5 minis and then to pick my favorite one to keep going with. But I actually had 2 favorites, so I decided to forge ahead with both of them, the yellowy orange one and the teal blue one. These colors look great together anyway. Those 2 scale colors were laid down as inks over a zenithal prime. They had a coat of gloss varnish and then some Army Painter tone. Strong tone for the yellow lizard and green tone for the blue lizard. I figured the green over blue might make for a cool varied effect, especially if I do some highlights in blue or something like that later. I moved ahead and started laying down some more base colors. Lizards and dinosaurs can be pretty much any color, so for me, getting the scales colored in was the hardest decision that I had to make. For all the secondary colors, there were some natural choices. For wood, bone, leather, and stone, I went with my default browns, beige, and gray. I decided that the blue lizard person would look nice with some warm secondary colors. In addition to the browns, I put red on his loincloth and his pauldron shell. I decided to carry over the exact same secondary colors onto the yellow lizard. That gives the yellow lizard entirely warm colors, so instead of a balanced color palette, he looks more angry and fiery. I think that fits his facial expression really well. I think in the end, both of these models will look pretty cool. Giving them the same bases and secondary colors should help make them look like they're part of the same clan. Maybe they're from different castes, or maybe they're like chameleons and they can change their color to fit their moods. So yeah, these figures are part of a Kickstarter campaign. Kickstarter is called The Lost Adventures. It's a combination of 3D print files for characters, monsters, and terrain, as well as RPG adventures to go with those minis. Danny comes at all this from the perspective of an RPG gamer, and he really wanted to have a massive set of terrain and monsters that were internally consistent and properly scaled for his D&D games. The Kickstarter campaign starts with a big batch of adventures and minis, and the stretch goals are organized around more adventures and more minis. These Lizardfolk are part of the stretch goals. My understanding is that there are many batches of minis that will be unlocked as stretch goals. The fact that I was holding completed stretch goal minis in my hand before the campaign even launched tells me something about the professionalism of this. Alright, we've got some base colors on there. Around this time, I sketched in the eyes. I decided to go with this bright livery green color from Vallejo with vertical black slits. I think the green I chose fits decently well with each mini, striking but not out of place. Then I kept going with some highlights and more detail work. I put several layers of brighter reds onto the pauldrons. Red is a pretty transparent color, but I actually like that for highlighting using layering. Since I have to use a lot of layers, I find that they mesh together into a pretty natural color progression, and no single brushstroke will be visible or ruin the effect. Anyway, I'm not the only person who got early access to some minis from this Kickstarter campaign. Luke from Luke's APS is painting up some of the 3D printed terrain. Luke is actually one of the first hobby people I ever subscribed to. The terrain boards and dioramas that he builds with simple materials are really amazing, and they get even better when he throws in some nice models as terrain bits. Emil from Squidmar Miniatures is also painting up a 3D printed mini from this campaign. He's newer to YouTube, but he's an outstanding, award-winning painter. Plus, he's good at making videos since he does that for a living. Also, I know what mini he's painting, so I suspect that his video will be awesome. Emil is on his way to becoming a fixture in the mini painting community, so if you haven't checked out Squidmar Miniatures yet, now's the time. Luke, Emil, and I are all pals with Danny from 3D Printed Tabletop, so we figured we'd make these videos around the same time as this Kickstarter as part of a loose 4-way collaboration. Luke and Emil are both incredibly talented at what they do, so I'm really hoping that I don't embarrass myself with these Lizardfolk. Let's keep cranking. So we are actually getting pretty close on these lizards. I'm going to have them both based as if they're standing in tide pools. The blue one is doing some fishing. That's his fishing spear. Maybe he'll find a flounder or a nice crustacean. The orange lizard is just standing around being a bully. Maybe he's standing in the shallows of a tidal estuary, collecting tolls from those who wish to pass. Or maybe he's just bullying the blue one as he's trying to fish. Anyway, I'm feeling pretty good with the yellow lizard. I'm not going to bother to highlight those scales. They already have a lot of contrast, and that yellow is looking nice and bright. The blue lizard could use some more contrast and highlights on his scales though. I decided to YOLO and hit the scales again with Nuln Oil. This actually did a pretty good job. Now I just want to highlight the scales a bit. I thought about using a dry brush, but I decided against it. It probably would have worked, but I had the opportunity to try something different. I got a small brush and some aqua-colored paint as a highlight. Then, one by one, I highlighted each scale. This doesn't take as long as it sounds like it takes. Just a dab of paint near the tip of each. This was an interesting way to highlight. Scales on the high points get highlighted, those in the shadows don't. This is actually pretty fun and straightforward. It makes highlighting into a binary process. Does the scale get a dab of aqua, or does it stay dull? As I was going, I realized that this gave a pretty cool shimmering effect to the model. This is awesome for a scaly beast standing on the beach. By now, we really can't see that original zenithal highlight that we put down, but I'm basically choosing which scales get highlighted or not based on the pattern from that original zenithal prime. Even when we can't see it anymore, that zenithal prime helps to guide my painting. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. I decided to declare victory on the painting. Partially because I'm content with it for now, but also because I'm anxious to play around with this basing. I've never done a tidal pool before, and I have some fun ideas. I started by putting down some bright green tufts from Army Painter as seaweed or kelp or something like that. Then, I pulled out my jar of tiny shells. I have some tiny clams, some tiny mussels, tiny snails, tiny barnacles, and tiny coral. Some of these are so small in real life that the scale actually looks appropriate for these models. You might ask, Brent, where did you get a jar of tiny shells? Well, when I go to the beach, I bring my Tupperware. I encourage us all to go outside more often, look around for inspiration, and look around for basing materials. Once the super glue had set for those shells, I dribbled on some water effects. Other than a couple of Dark Eldar test models earlier in the day, this is my first time ever trying to use water effect. I've had this bottle of Vallejo water texture on my desk for a year or two now, but somehow I hadn't cracked it open yet. I figured that I could either tape the base edges and do a pour, or I could rely on surface tension and luck. The test base I did with tape didn't actually turn out great, so I went with several layers of the surface tension and luck method. Supposedly, this water effect is best applied as several thin layers anyway, so it all pretty much worked out. I thought about adding a tiny bit of ink to the water effect to stain the water blue, but in the end I decided that the pools would be so shallow that crystal clear would actually make more sense. After about 4 layers of the water effect, I'm content with the appearance. My first tide pools turned out pretty cool. Okay, I'm calling these models done, and I am very happy with them. When I set out to paint some 3D printed minis, I expected that the layered texture would either be visible to the naked eye, or at the very least, a wash would expose the layers. I was very happily surprised that I could not find a single layer line. The model that was shipped to me, still on supports from the 3D printing process, cleaned up about as easily as any model cast in traditional methods. My understanding is that many of the models in this Kickstarter don't even need to be printed with supports. Not only did the texture not hurt my painting, the wonderful detail on the scales really helped. Washing those scales was a delight. All in all, painting these models up wasn't any different from any other model I've ever painted. I don't think that they suffer at all for being 3D printed. Once they were primed, I honestly couldn't tell the difference. In addition to the scales, there's wood grain, braided rope, and even feathers that all have amazing texture. I don't know the full history of how these lizards were designed and printed, but I love them. They're great sculpts and they paint up really well. I want to congratulate the Artisan Guild on one more favorite detail of mine. Just look at those meaty, scaly thighs. They have muscle definition while also having those big armored scales. Even through the scales, you can see those manly lizard muscles bulging out. Something about that is just wicked cool. Anyway, these are awesome minis. I hadn't been paying close attention to the 3D printing community, but it seems that the future is now, and I'm excited to see where all this goes. If this topic interests you, definitely check out the videos that I'll link from Squidmar Miniatures and from Luke's APS. And if you really want to get into 3D printing minis, Danny at 3D Printed Tabletop is an awesome resource. Oh yeah, those 3 other Lizardfolk? I haven't forgotten about those. We'll be seeing those again. I've got big plans. Well, there we go. These minis were a blast to paint, and I do hope that you enjoyed watching. If you haven't seen Danny's channel yet, or Emil's or Luke's, now is a great chance to go check them out. I really do recommend all 3 of those guys. If you happen to be coming here from one of their channels, well, welcome, it's good to have you. Say hello down below, and please consider subscribing. Okay, that's it for this time. Thank you so much for watching.